I had this vocal coach, right?
Wow. Okay.
Listen to how embarrassing this was. What she would do, it was a way to obviously get over any kind of embarrassment you might have singing, as you sometimes may experience yourself, right?
Yes. Yeah.
She would make me, I'd be in my, 30-60 minute session, and she would be sitting at a piano and we're doing exercises and then just abruptly she would say, go out in the lobby, and there'd be, 10, 20 people sitting around waiting for various instructors. And in this, she would say, okay, now go out in the lobby. I want you to lay down on the floor on your back and just sing Happy Birthday twice in a row. Like, am I allowed to tell them that you made me do this? It's like an Impractical Jokers episode.
Welcome to the Secret VCG Experience, where we get to know the people behind Village Caregiving. We're your hosts, Aaron Gustin and Jeff Stevens. In this podcast, we have casual conversations with the individuals that make up VCG. Join us as we sit down to hear their stories, share a laugh, and learn about the importance of human connection in home care. So sit back, relax, and let's get to know the people of Village Caregiving.
I've just gone down a rabbit hole looking at maps. I could do that for a while. You ever do that?
Yeah. Just kind of go through a map. And there are times where sometimes when you're traveling, I like to look at the map and see where on the globe you are, and then try to figure out how far from me that is.
Really?
Yeah. So
you started the podcast.
Yeah. It's
got
okay.
me again.
No, don't slow down on your map quest there.
I'll stop looking at the map for this.
That's an interesting name for a website, mapquest.com.
You're just on a quest.
Yeah.
To figure out what's on this thing.
I know. If you were stuck out in the wilderness with just an atlas, could you navigate? Are you map friendly?
Oh yeah.
You're good.
Mm-hmm.
Get your bearings.
I remember the good old days when I had a huge, Rand McNally map book in the back seat. I was always that guy on the trip that would navigate. Yeah.
When I was a child, my dad traveled a lot. And so he always had a Rand McNally. He'd get the latest edition of the Rand McNally. It was always in the pocket behind his driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we would go on vacation, I would always pull out the Rand McNally and I would just look at America through that thing.
Me too, man. Yeah. Honestly, it was almost like looking at baseball statistics as a kid. I could just look at the map I still can. It's what I was just doing. What am I talking about? Yeah, I don't know. Sarah gets kind of a kick out of that. She watches me like just a little puppy dog that's amusing itself with a toy.
Yeah.
Just looking at the map. She knows I'm gone because it's going to take me a minute.
Think about maps now. I mean, they're kind of becoming obsolete because they're all turning digital and people don't need to read a map anymore, which is, I think, okay. Technology's, done that. But half the stuff that we do now, I find on a map. Like I'll look on a map and I noticed that my kids the other day my son and his cousin were riding around Ironton and they pulled up their Apple map on their phone. And it was my nephew's phone. And he was like looking at businesses in Ironton, like things to go do.
Yeah. I'm the same way. If we're traveling and I want to do a restaurant search, I just open Google Maps.
Yeah.
You can filter it by the cuisine. You just search, Snail's restaurant in Baltimore. It'll pop up with reviews, stars right next to it. It's the best way to do it. Pretty cool. I'm with you though. I don't begrudge the technology in that aspect.
Sure. Well, so these are 11 and 12-year-olds that's doing this. And they, in the same conversation, asked me when they go to Wendy's, how do they get a cup? Because they've ordered the food and they don't order a combo. So it doesn't come with a drink. And they're like, well, how do you get the cup? And I'm like, how are you using an iPhone? You can't get a cup from these people. But
well, the cup, they get the cup, right? And then they have to put water in it, of course. You remember whenever you were a kid and people would pull that stunt where they would say they were going to get a cup of water, but then fill it up with a soda?
Yeah. Please
tell me you never did that.
No, I never did it. I was
so dishonest.
Well, I'm pretty certain that is punishable by death.
I got one time into a huge fight with a girlfriend. I'm talking like a little, I was like 15 or something.
Okay.
At the mall, because I just found it so objectionable that she did that and
she
called her out on
cup.
it. And boy, she did not like when I called her out.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
I'm trying to, I'm sounding like I'm really morally righteous here about somebody that took 2 cents worth of Diet Coke.
Sure. Well, we were talking earlier. Chris Atkins and I were in the home office today talking, and we brought up somehow it came up about fast food. And he worked at Chick-fil-A at one point. I worked at Wendy's, so we were natural competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about how hard it was to unload a truck. Now, you didn't have the fast food experience, right?
I never did that. No.
Yeah. So at Wendy's, you had the fresh food that was in the cooler, and then you had the frozen food. Well, the frozen food freezer entrance was inside the cooler. Okay, so you had to go like another level deep into this cold abyss.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just talking about it. I mean, that was, man, what, 25 years ago? No, like 22 years ago. I was trying to think how old I was. It was a long time ago. It was over 20 years ago. You like that quick math?
That's good. That's good.
And it I remember talking about it this morning. I remember what it felt like, how cold it was in that freezer. And you'd have to grab all that frozen product and move it around. And it was just miserably cold. It's so weird how those memories come back after that long.
Yeah, I had some weird jobs. That's one of the questions that we ask commonly whenever we do the social media clips. There was one job, I must have been through a transportation grant, but all I would do, and Matt was involved in this, teenagers, we would just drive up and down interstates, pull into rest areas, and then just count weird things like how many cars are here, how many parking spaces.
This was a paid job.
Yeah. And it actually paid okay. It wasn't a lot, but it was like $10 an hour.
Yeah.
More than minimum wage. And you get a meal if you're out and driving around. I mean, this was gold to a kid.
If you did this without the grant, they would put you on a travel ban list now if they found out about it. You're just out in truck stops counting things.
Just an insane human being. I think the goal was ultimately to see the overflow. That was our big. Oh. There was lots of boxes on here. You would check things as small as like if an RV park, is there an RV dump where they can empty out the tank?
Okay.
Whatever, random things. But then the big gold box at the end was overflow.
I see. How many did they need?
Oh, yeah. If you went by a rest stop and it may be late at night and you would see on the ramp to leaving the rest area back onto the highway, if there were trucks that began to have to park on the side because there aren't enough spaces for them in the rest area, oh, that was hot.
Really? That's what they wanted.
That was the overflow. Ooh. I'd see it coming a mile away. I'd see those trucks on up. I'd be like, oh, we got overflow. We've got overflow.
This is big, people.
Mm-hmm.
Call Washington.
Right away.
Yeah.
But we went to every single rest area in the state.
Wow.
Which takes a lot longer than you might think, by the way.
Yeah. How did you just have to go to every one once?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I guess unless you messed up and had to go check yourself.
I see.
I was not. Well, yeah, you make a good point because the overflow could change at any given time. But no, one time was all the information they must have needed.
If you hit every rest stop at noon on a Tuesday, right, that's not going to give you a real accurate picture.
Right.
Interesting. Well,
we did a lot of it at nighttime.
Okay.
I remember this because, I guess maybe they told us to. That's when truckers would more commonly want to sleep. Therefore.
Yeah.
I hear people talking again.
Well,
it's your turn to go out there and yell at them.
I'll tell you what, if that's Danielle, she's probably going to have my daughter Emma with her today. And today is Emma's 8th birthday.
Oh gosh, we can't yell if it's them.
She's really excited about being her 8th birthday. So
you want to pull them in, surprise guest?
No, I think she'd be pretty shy.
Well, you could tell her you could sing her happy birthday.
Here live for everyone.
Uh-huh.
No, that would never happen.
Whenever I was oh gosh, now I'm going to talk about the band, but I was getting at a different story. This is what I always make fun of you for, but I had this vocal coach, right?
Wow. Okay.
Listen to how embarrassing this was. What she would do, it was a way to obviously get over any kind of embarrassment you might have singing, as you sometimes may experience yourself,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
She would make me, I'd be in my 30, 60-minute session, and she would be sitting at a piano and we're doing exercises and then just abruptly she would say, go out in the lobby, and there'd be, 10, 20 people sitting around waiting for various instructors. This was in Atlanta, Georgia. And this lady was like, no joke, man. She was the coach for a lot of Atlanta area artists like Usher, Rob Thomas, Justin Bieber. So she was excellent at her job and had a really nice facility. There are a lot of people in there.
Okay.
This wasn't just nowhere. And in this, she would say, Okay, now go out in the lobby. I want you to lay down on the floor on your back and just sing happy birthday twice in a row. Like,
Oh gosh.
am I allowed to tell them that you made me do this? It's like an Impractical Jokers episode. And she'd say, no, go. And she was such a hard driving, demanding person that I just did it, man. But it was so awkward, and people were looking at me like I was just insane. I think it's probably some of them probably, they had to do this too if that was she was their coach. But to the new people, they just thought there was a crazy man in the building,
Just out there laying down, singing happy birthday.
Yeah,
That's another odd thing that you've done.
Odd, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, this is big news. We just got back from a huge road trip.
Yeah.
Village caregiving on the road. Jeff Stevens, Ben Keenan, and myself loaded up, and we headed north.
We hit the road, did a lot of driving, man.
Well, you did a lot of riding.
Okay, you did all the driving. I did the laying down in the back seat, just talking nonsense.
Yeah, that was okay. But we went to Toledo, to Village Caregiving Toledo's office, Austin and Ryan, and then we left there.
Yeah, we missed Ryan.
We did. Yeah, congratulations on the new baby. Right, he was out for that.
Congrats, Ryan. Sorry we missed you, buddy.
Well, so we went to Toledo, had a great time there. Beautiful office. We went. Where did we eat at?
In Ann Arbor?
No.
In Toledo.
In Toledo. Do you remember?
We ate at, don't tell me.
Think of the show MASH.
Oh, we ate at Tony Paco's. Yeah.
Tony Paco's. That's right. Had some pickles.
Oh, that's famous place.
Yeah.
I've been eating there for a long time. I don't know why I blinked for a second. Sorry. But yeah, that's from the show MASH. Jamie Farr was an actor on the show, and he's from Toledo. And so it was a running gag on there that he was always trying to get Tony Paco's pickles sent over to Korea during the war. But there is really a Tony Paco's, and we had a meal there.
Yeah.
I love that place.
Oh, it was great. And we left there and drove straight to Ann Arbor. Spent some time with Chris Marr. That's a new office. It's a newer office. Been there less than a year. And really a cool spot. As a guy from Ohio, I can't really go on the record and say much about Ann Arbor. It's a thing.
Yeah. You'll get thrown out.
Oh my gosh, I'd lose my citizenship. I'd have to become a West Virginian at that point. But Ann Arbor was a beautiful town. It was the river runs right beside the office there. A lot of outdoor stuff. Went to Casey's. Was that the name of it? Went over to Casey's and had a huge thing of French fries and had great conversation. Learned a lot about Chris Marr. He's actually going to come down and be on the podcast in the near future. But learned a lot about Chris and his early beginnings in life.
That was a great conversation. I've known Chris for a long time now, probably, I don't know, 15 years. And I don't know that I'd ever really talked to him about a lot of that stuff, his career path, his best friends from childhood and stuff. Yeah. It was really neat. Yeah. That's, half the value of making these trips is just get to connect with people in a different way and sit down and have some fun, good conversation. It was nice.
And then we left there and drove straight to, now we're still in the same day at this point. We've not stopped for the night yet. We went to Toledo, went to Ann Arbor, jumped back in the truck, and we drove as hard as we could over to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Right. Mm-hmm. And on the way to Fort Wayne, we had some fun. We're helping one of our offices right now. The executive director is out there. And so we were doing a payroll on the road. It'd been a little while since you had dipped your toe into the.
That was a treat, man. I was back in the game, calling up our caregivers, collecting those sheets. They're the hours that they were some of the last to report them. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble here, but you know how there's always a few that don't get them in on time.
Absolutely.
I was making that call again. I was right. I fell right back in.
Yeah. Oh, you did. Yeah. It was, you guys clicked right back in. We connected to a hot spot, and
you were doing it at first because you had the Fargo 24/7 phone that they were coming through. And I was in the back seat. For those listening out there, here's how it went down. Aaron was making all the calls, doing all the work, but he was driving. I kept begging him, come on, give me that phone, man. Let me get in on this. Let me make a couple calls. I think you were a little bit worried that I hadn't done it in so long, or that I was just going to be ridiculous in some way that you didn't want to give it up. Is that true?
That it was a little bit true. It'd been a while since you had collected some timesheets. I didn't know how you'd fall back into practice.
But I impressed you, right?
You did great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So if any caregivers are listening that received a phone call on last payroll from Jeff from the home office. Was one of the owners and founders of the organization calling to get your timesheets, which I thought was funny. But we finished that up just in time as we rolled into Fort Wayne. Man, what a pretty town. And so often, the Fort Wayne, Sally Guy says that Fort Wayne is known for its churches. It's a city of churches. And it's a beautiful downtown, very clean. And what we find is when we go to these communities, that was my first time in that market, that they really are. They're just familiar in a lot of ways. I don't mean that to sound hokey, but they're pretty downtowns. A lot of them are historic, beautiful churches, great architecture. And we rolled right into the middle of a Fort Wayne Tin Caps game. Is that right?
Minor league baseball.
Minor league baseball. Our hotel happened to be adjacent to the stadium, and the game was going on. I mean, they were mid-game when we rolled into town. And so we were starving, if you'll remember. And we went upstairs and checked in to the rooms and then went over and got a bite to eat at a rooftop restaurant. Is that right?
Yeah.
And while we were checking in, the lady, who was very kind, you were making conversation with her, and she stated something to us.
I don't remember what you're about to say. What?
You were asking about the game, if the team was any good, and if she had ever been. And she said, by the way, there's fireworks tonight.
Oh.
And you said, oh, okay. And she said, they're really loud.
She wasn't lying. They were really good too.
Yeah. Well, they were excellent. But we ended up eating on the 8th floor of this building. And come to find out, fireworks, when set off in the outfield of a baseball game, go approximately 8 stories high.
Yeah. Oh, I got a call.
You have a call coming?
Yeah. Let's see who they asked for.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Oh, no.
Hi.
Hello, sir. This is Eva, and I'm calling you from Medicare Health Insurance. How are you?
I'm okay, but I'm not on Medicare, though. Thank you. Oh, she just hung
she
up
hung
on
up
me.
on you. Okay.
Anyways.
Well, you never
Eva from Medicare, ladies and gentlemen.
We had a special guest in the studio today.
I feel like she wasn't all in on the sale there. She really ditched me quickly.
Very quickly. Yeah.
Anyways, yep. That fireworks show. And by the way, that Tin Cap Stadium, I was about to look this up. Man, it was really pretty. I don't know what most people are used to for minor league baseball stadiums, but this, I mean, it had to be pretty new.
Yeah, it looked really new. And there were several hotels and a convention center. All of it was right there. If you I know a lot of people don't travel through Fort Wayne on the way to somewhere, but because it's kind of in that far eastern north corner of the state.
Yeah, well, it's I'm trying to look it up here online, but it's a pretty park. It was made you want to go inside.
Yeah,
the logo's this cool little apple with his little like upside down pot on his head. Thus the name the Tin Caps, but it's because they have a connection to Johnny Appleseed.
That's right.
Everything about it was neat.
Yeah,
but then during this dinner, the game ends, and the fireworks start going off. We didn't watch a fireworks show. We were in a fireworks show.
At 8 stories high, you experienced the fireworks show.
I actually thought it was kind of dangerous. There were people out there that were closer on the edge of the balcony. Like, sometimes a firework will shoot off and land near you and like burn your arm. I was like, well, these people are going to get torched.
In my memory, we were like within 15 foot of the explosions. Like that, we were at the same level as the explosion. We were not looking up for the fireworks. We were looking over.
Oh, dude, they were dead eye level. and let's give credit to it. I don't think it's just because we were up high. Because they went on forever, and it was an incredible display. I don't care if you had been under the earth. That must have looked good, or am I crazy here?
No, it was an excellent show. Dude, for a Thursday.
They must have spent $50,000 on that fireworks show. How does a minor league baseball team even afford that?
I don't know. If you're anywhere near the Fort Wayne market on July the 4th, I would recommend going over there because I can't imagine what they're going to have for that.
I've promised my daughter that this year, actually, this was my idea. So I told her, we're going to a big 4th of July fireworks. I'm packing up a picnic basket. and a blanket. We're going to get there early. This is stuff I never do. We're
Okay.
going to get a good spot in the grass. We're going to bring some board games, maybe play, have fun, big family memory. You know, you could talk me into driving to Fort Wayne, Indiana for that fireworks show, and I am not joking around right now.
It's going to be exceptional. It's got to be one of the best in the nation.
If you're around Fort Wayne, you get to that 10 caps fireworks display.
Yeah. We probably should have Googled to see if they're even having one.
Well, I mean, any game. Just look and see when fireworks night is. It doesn't have to be the 4th of July.
Well, and so we left there. We don't want to take anything away because we left there, jumped in the vehicle. We did spend the night. We did come off the road for a couple hours. It was the amazing race back to Dayton, Ohio.
Well, let's talk about the meeting with Sally that morning a little bit.
Okay.
I want to brag on her.
Okay. Yeah.
I hadn't really got to the first time I'd ever been in Fort Wayne in my life,
Mhm.
and the first time I'd been to her office, and we had a really great meeting and conversation for a couple hours that morning. I think that she is an absolute top-notch director, has a vision for the future, has already had great success, invested, in the job and the company and her clients and the care for the people. I was just really impressed. I mean, I wanted to dap her up a little bit here and recognize that. And not that I wasn't with Austin and Chris. I've just known them forever. I hadn't got to know Sally that well yet, but she's an all-star.
Absolutely. I thought it was really cool. One of the things that she was telling us about was that she had ran a half marathon. Fit for Fort Wayne, I believe was the name of it. And she was talking about like her and the lady that she ran it with got so competitive that the lady was like throwing elbows at the finish line and stuff.
Throwing bows, crossing the marathon finish line.
Yeah. So Sally's super competitive. When you talk with her, it doesn't really come too much across that way, but she is so funny and exceptional and is doing a great job. And we really had a good time. On the way to Dayton, though, some of my passengers got hungry, if you'll recall. We made the drive over through Lima, yep, and went through a couple towns there. But then we were on the interstate, and some people got hungry.
What did we eat?
We ended up eating Wendy's.
Oh, okay. That's right. Yeah, your old stomping grounds.
Yeah. Ben ordered 2 chilies, no spoon. He just decided to drink it like a milkshake.
And it was so hot it scalded his mouth off. I wonder if his tongue's recovered yet.
Hopefully so. But do you remember the city in which we stopped to eat?
Yeah, I do. It actually has a Native American name. I don't want to get it wrong. Is it Wapakoneta?
Yeah, that's correct.
If I got that slightly wrong, no offense to the fine folks there. But then on the sign, and it's not like a brown sign for a museum. This is on the green name of the town sign. It says Wapakoneta. And then the other town, First on the Moon.
First on the Moon. That's right.
Where do you live, Aaron? First on the Moon, Ohio.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a cool town. So that was
Is that the name of the town, though?
No.
It's not.
Yeah, I've done more research on that since we got back because you asked a guy in Wendy's if he was a local. He thought you were insane.
Well, I'm not above making a friendly conversation with a stranger in Wendy's.
Yeah. So we didn't get confirmation there, but we did get confirmation later from Google that that's not the name of the town. That's just kind of what it's known for. So they do a lot with it. There's a space museum there and several things. But we then made it to Dayton. What a cool office. That was right downtown. Gosh, I don't remember what floor it was on. The 11th floor, maybe?
Yeah, they had a really beautiful view of the city, and
it was really
cool spot. A bunch of different common areas and meeting rooms and stuff. And
Fury and Jamaica were awesome. And it's a cool vibe there. And then we headed home. But that was a really fun trip. Hopefully it was a great trip for the directors that we're able to see as well. You've said it before, man. It's just really cool when you can talk to people on the phone and get an idea of where they're at, what they're doing. And so by going there, it helps. It
just totally.
Does.
Yeah. Next time I talk to Fury and Jamaica, I can visualize where they're sitting, what their office dynamic is like. They have 2 desks that face each other. It's a nice spot. You know what? I realized after we left there, we filmed a couple of little 60-second get to know you clips.
Yeah.
And just before, so they're not 2 on the spot. After all, you only have 60 seconds. I just kind of said, hey, I'll ask you like favorite movie, book, TV show, food, whatever. And I said, if you one of you had a unique job. And I really liked Fury's answer, but then I forgot to do it once you hit the record button. So I messed up. But on the ride home, I remember like, oh shucks, I should have asked that because I asked her if you ever had a weird job. She said that she was a dog groomer or a dog washer for one day. I would like to hear the end of that story. What the
Sure.
one day part was all about.
Yeah. I had a friend that owned a dog grooming company, and it was very successful. And the bathing part was by far I mean, those dogs would just eat them up in the tub. So
If we have Fury on a podcast, we've got to remember to get in the weeds of what went wrong that one day.
Absolutely. Well, so man, we've had a great podcast conversation here today.
Yeah, and also props to Fury and Jamaica. I talked about Sally. I know them. I've known them a little bit longer than Sally, but they also do an excellent job in Dayton. The office is growing really well. All their compliance is good. They're a great team together.
Yeah. Well, cool.
It's fun hanging out with them too.
So we have a couple minutes left here on the podcast. Any major updates for Village Caregiving for the folks that are listening? You got anything that you need to get out?
I don't think anything we haven't already talked about recently.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
We're going to have to set up another big company-wide Zoom here.
Yeah.
Maybe move it up a hair before the holidays. I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
I have no big announcements to make.
Yeah. Well, cool.
I can tell you this.
Okay.
We are getting back in the podcast studio on June the 20th to get back in there. So we're going to have some more guests lined up.
I'm not going to tell you.
Are you going to reveal?
Nope, I'm not going to tell you. You're not going to know either, but we have several people that are coming in for it. So they're not locals. And we do have a couple locals that's going to be on this time. But some of these are going to be big surprises.
A couple locals.
Yeah.
Just, okay. All right. I don't know. But I'll tell you what I'll reveal to you.
Okay.
I've got some new tricks up my sleeve.
Oh, no.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no.
We'll still keep the fishbowl for now.
Okay.
But I'm going to bring a couple of items with me.
That's coming to the studio next time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
A couple of props.
Well,
I think you're going to really like it.
I don't know about all that.
Okay.
I am excited.
There's your preview.
Yeah. Well, hey, one quick question before you go. I want to get your advice on something, okay?
All right.
So I have a friend right now. This isn't a hypothetical. This is a legitimate thing.
No, it's not. You don't have any friends.
Yeah, I do. Dear friends. And so they are in a situation where they have been offered a job.
A hypothetical friend.
Yeah.
Right.
They're in their current role. They were interviewed for this job, kind of not really looking for it. It came to them. And then through a weird process, they were offered an interview for another job.
Okay.
All this kind of came out of the blue. And so they now are kind of faced with, they may stay where they are. They may go to option number one, or they may go to option number two.
Yeah.
Option number one is like very caring and compassionate type company. Option number two is this big upcoming industrial company. Option one is a pay raise and a better kind of environment for their time off and family time and stuff. Option two is like really wild. The benefits are extraordinary. The pay is extraordinary. But it's not in line with the person that they are. Okay.
Boy, that's tough.
And there's always this chance that their current employer is going to try to retain them. They haven't even given notice yet. And so this friend called me and was like, what should I do? You know, one is better money. One is great money. One is more time with family. The other is a lot of time with family and those sorts of things. And so sometimes we run into these situations where we're, trying to figure out what do we do with our life? How much of, and you give me a hard time, not a hard time, but you joke with me a lot about like, if my heart checks out on something, I'm very heart guided by things.
Yeah.
And so I have to be careful not to give that advice to my friends as well sometimes, because, they may value things different than I do.
You know what advice I would give your friend?
I want to know.
Because I can't pick which option, because I don't even know this person or what they value. It could be completely different than me, how much of their time, family, money, whatever the thing is. But when they're thinking through all of these important factors, what I would say is, you gotta really just trust your heart, man. Like, even if it's a hard decision, in there somewhere. And when you know, and you gotta be decisive, act with conviction, don't look back, don't second guess, go with it.
Wow. That's a great answer. That's not the answer I gave.
Give him my number.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you. Well, man, thanks for that. That actually, I think that's applicable in a lot of things, and that's probably how a lot of decisions this organization is made and has been made in the past. So, thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
Well, dude, I cannot wait to be back in the studio in front of the cameras with everyone and see what happens with these new things that you're bringing and the new folks that are coming over to talk with us. Okay,
You're going to like these surprises.
well, man, have a great weekend, and we'll see everyone soon. Okay,
All right. I'm headed to Iceland.
Iceland.
Uh-huh. My daughter's so excited to see volcanoes and waterfalls and stuff. We're getting a van and driving in a great big circle around the country.
That's going to be wild.
Well, I'll have Rachel come up here. She turns 9 in a couple months. Maybe she can fill us in, do a report,
Yeah,
like a journalist.
we can get her on. That's no problem.
All right.
Well, awesome. Have fun.
All right, man.